Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you so much for joining me here. We're going to take another look at Request Network, kind of see what's going on here. And just before we do, we'll peek over Bitcoin too, see what's going on there as well. And if we can see here with Bitcoin, it's been kind of a bit on the naughty side here recently. As per usual, tries to break up here and then comes back down almost immediately. So it's a nice little 3.5% drop in just under a couple of hours. So, Bitcoin, when you think it's all back on track, it just tanks. Unfortunately, it's going to be like that for a little while. It seems to be there's a pretty strong resistance between 61 and 60,000, apparently also in the range of 58.5. So one thing that's important to note, and this tells me we're probably still going to be okay, is the 50-day simple moving average is working its way up here, and we can effectively see that price should slowly progress upwards with it. Okay, so that's ultimately what we're looking for. Just bear in mind, 200-day simple moving average is kind of hanging out right there with right around 60,000, as well as the 50-day simple moving average on the 1 day. We can see that here hanging out right around 61 as well. So 60 to 61,000 strong resistance. If we can get the price to close above 58,000, it'd be very helpful. So we can get, kind of establish this as a, I guess 58,000 is a support level, because right now it kind of is tentatively a resistance. You can see here, 3 days in a row, it's been rejecting out right around that same price. So that's where we're at here for Bitcoin. Take a look at Request Network. Just before we do, I want to share with you briefly, I am not a financial advisor, right? This is for educational purposes. I love teaching people how to trade. I have a trading community for that specific purpose. So hopefully you can learn a thing or two here today. Message me on Telegram or whatever other social media platform you'd like, and we can hopefully be able to help you out. But I deeply appreciate all of my members. Thank you so much to my patrons. Greatly appreciate all of you. You're amazing. All right, so thanks again. Let's go ahead and take a look here at Request Network. So 1 day chart, it's kind of funny, right? We got a very sharp increase. Second day was a pretty big increase too, but a major candle wick. Then we've got, what, 5 straight days of consolidation and right back on track today. At least sort of on track, right? So not terrible, not great. I don't love that kind of price action, that kind of price movement. I prefer, nice slow staircase patterns when the price just kind of goes under the radar, right? We don't have that right here for Request. It's kind of unfortunate, but we did get a bounce here right around 58 on the RSI. Simply put, the price is over 50, under 70 on the RSI on the 1 day, which is just fine. If it breaks above 70 on the RSI and can close above, which will probably be somewhere in the range of right around, I would say, 78 cents, the previous 1 day candlestick close, then that would be a case in point where we'd pass that on the RSI, and that'd be very helpful. But for right now, that could work as a resistance level, which is essentially, again, equivalent to about 78 cents on the price action. All right, taking a look here. We can see, obviously, what happened. Request Network got too big for its britches there, had to come all the way back down. It now effectively, for lack of better terms, it was under, but it did essentially bounce off the 50-day simple moving average, and that worked as a tentative support level. We've also got a rejection off of 70 on the RSI, which is that same exact level I'm referring to, 78 cents. It's interesting how that works. You can see the 1 day candlestick kind of forming resistance, and then we look at the 4 hour, that resistance has already occurred. It's a faster moving time frame, so of course we see that rejection there. The price is still in that range. This isn't terrible, this isn't bad, don't get wrong, because the price is still in the range of 50 to 70. It's not considered to be overbought, if that makes any sense, but it is rejecting out there, kind of creating a resistance level. So I just 100% confirm that I would say 78 cents is a very strong likelihood for the actual resistance level. We had a convergence here as well in the MACD earlier today. So sorry, that was actually late last night. And that essentially just it was right here, of course. And if we take that and we look at the Ishimoku cloud on the 1 hour chart, we'll probably be able to identify there was a break above the cloud shortly after, right there. About 2 or 3 hours after we got the MACD convergence on the 4 hour chart, we got the Ishimoku cloud breakthrough. And keep this in mind, the Ichimoku cloud right now, it's telling us that we have a buy signal, right? Because the lagging span isn't intersected with the price yet, so we're still free and clear to take a position. And the baseline is below the conversion line. Those are the 3 things, or basically 4 things if you consider the price above the cloud as the most important indications of either a buy signal or not a sell signal. I would say this is more so not a sell signal, based on the simple fact that it's telling us that the price is coming back down a little bit, but it hasn't officially fallen enough or had enough time to consolidate to consider that it's not worth exiting your position. So if that makes any sense at all, to make it simple, I'm not recommending that you just buy the dip right now. I'm just saying that the cloud is telling us that we are still in good shape with this trade to the long side, essentially to the higher side, right? Buy, sell, buy low, sell high, that whole thing. That's essentially what it's telling us. All right, now we can kind of look here and you can see on the 1 hour chart, there's been a nice steady consolidation effort here at about 68.9 cents. So you can see the price is kind of consolidating right here. There's a strong little support level about 69 cents. That being said, if that support can continue to hold for a little bit longer, then it would be advantageous to consider dollar cost averaging, right? I wouldn't say necessarily take a full position, use your entire bag and go long. That's not what you do, but that is a potential option for you to go ahead and consider. Speaking of which, let's go ahead and do a quick hypothetical here and see where we could be at for the price here in just this little time frame, right? So in the last 24 hours, this amount of movement, which was about 96%, mind you, that's a very significant amount. The likelihood of it doubling that in the near future is pretty low. But if it were to, better case scenario, we could see somewhere in the range of $3.30. That's a best case scenario in the next 24 hours. Again, I think the likelihood that's pretty low, but it does have a history of doing very well in short, brief amount of times. And if you look at this previous time here, you can see it ramped up, consolidated, and then ramped up again. That second ramp up wasn't quite as significant. So if this kind of follows a similar suit, we could see a price up to like the secondary Fibonacci retracement level there, right around $1. So I would say that $1 is more likely in the relative near future than oh, I'm sorry. Did I misspeak? No, yeah, $1. I misspoke earlier. It's not $3. I apologize. $1.32. I misread that. I put my decimal place in the wrong places sometimes. So $1.32, by the way, is a best case scenario in the next 24 hours, but I think it's more realistic to anticipate somewhere in the range of $1. That's probably more accurate in the short term just based on its history. Again, coins don't always repeat the same behavior, but they oftentimes do. I think it's more likely than not you're going to see a similar pattern of behavior moving forward. And the main reason why is because, there's specific, this is not people, keep in mind, this is not people like you and I, right? In other words, this amount of volume, we don't have this much volume, right? I don't care what kind of social media tweets, what kind of followers you have. It is difficult to get the entire globe to put in a lot of money in this one coin. We basically have a whale or two or three that are driving the price up. Once the price gets where they want, they slowly start bleeding it out, while you and I are left in higher positions and they're counting their money all the way to the bank. So that's happening again here. Keep that in mind. This was not increased by us. Therefore, will it happen again, the second increase? It's quite possible, right? That tells me that's going to happen because they might just try to pump it up again. Sometimes a second increase is people like you and I catching on, driving the price action up, and then they sell at that point when their profit's higher. Because they're usually responsible for that first initial increase, and then we're responsible for the secondary increase. So I wouldn't be surprised if we start pushing the price action up a little bit higher here soon to closer to $1. One last thing to note as well is we do have a strong resistance at $1.07. So if you're going to set a profit target, I would say $1 would probably be the best target to shoot for. But if you're going to get a little on the greedy side, or you want profit target number 2, 106 instead of 107. Again, the reason why is because that was a previous all-time high. And again, that's just a 1 hour candlestick close. But when you take a previous all-time high, for example, that is essentially the most important resistance level you want to focus on. And if you set a profit target just below that resistance level, that's the idea. Okay, so hopefully you found benefit here. I know this isn't like the most ideal, situation, so to speak, because it does appear that it's kind of ramped up. So I appreciate my patrons for asking that I cover this. But I would just say, dollar cost average if you believe this is a coin you want to continue to invest in. But just know it is susceptible to, I wouldn't say pump and dump per se, but it's a pump and a slow bleed, if that makes any sense. Again, history has a tendency of repeating itself, but it doesn't have to. It's kind of I know it's catch-22, right? But more often than not, you're going to see a similar behavior. Not to say we're going to see an increase here soon, but if it were to, I'd say $1 would probably be a better case scenario. And then just be prepared for the price to start to slowly decline based on its history and how it's performed previously. When you start seeing the volume taper off like it has already so far, that could be cause for concern. Just saying. All right, so be careful, be safe, and consider joining my Patreon community. We actually have limited slots available. I'll slowly keep opening positions throughout the month, of course, once we have everyone taken care of. I like to make sure that I have enough time with my members too. So I appreciate your patience if you've been trying to get in there. If not, thanks again. Learn as much as you can from the videos, and I hope you have a great rest of your day. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.